Good evening. I'm Hilliard Goldfarb, the Senior Curator of Collections at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts, and one of the authors of the catalog for the exhibition Paris in the Days of Post-Impressionism, Signac and the Indépendant. Today, we're going to look at a remarkable print by Toulouse-Lautrec featured in that exhibition, La Grande Loge. While I do not normally dress in quite this way for dinner at home, let us enter into the spirit of the epoch and the society depicted. While independent of any particular artistic movement of the period, Toulouse-Lautrec's work reflects his appreciation of Degas, Daumier, and Japanese 18th and 19th century woodblock prints. Above all, though, he was a keen observer of the psychological motives underlying the activities of the habitués of the theater world, cabarets, circuses, demi-monde, and brothels in the area of Montmartre, where he set up his studio, conveying their true character through the mimicking of their facial expressions and body language. Japanese prints also inspired the flat fields of color and other effects he employed to convey the artificial and vice-ridden nature of Parisian society, the world that he was portraying. In its striking composition and use of colors, its technical mastery and subtly provocative subject matter, La Grande Jatte is undoubtedly one of the artist's finest lithographic achievements. It is among his rarest as well. It exists in only 9 trial proofs and an edition consisting of 12 impressions, printed by Henri Stern at the small Encore Printing Company and published by Gustave Pellet. Work on the print may have begun as early as 1896, and it dates to 1897. The composition was first worked up in a finished gouache study on cardboard. Our exhibited impression is cited by Wolfgang Wittrach in his catalogue raisonné of the artist's prints and posters as trial proof number 9, the final trial proof before printing for publication. And this particular sheet has a particularly distinguished provenance. Otto Gerstenberg, who died in 1935, built a comprehensive collection of the artist's prints and owned the present impression. It had earlier belonged to the Paris collector Marcel Louis Guérin and was sold at auction in 1922. After Gerstenberg's death, the work was sold in Germany, entering the collection of the Stuttgarter Kunstkabinett before being auctioned by that institution in 1954, together with artworks to raise funds. And ultimately, it was acquired by the current owners, thus again residing in one of the world's preeminent Toulouse-Lautrec print collections. La Grande Loge was originally sold by the publisher in 1897 for the cost of 60 francs, the artist's top price for art lithographs in multiple colors. His black and white lithographs and commercial posters sold for much less. To put this in context, a respectable small apartment in Montmartre at the time would rent for 800 francs a year, thus putting the colored art prints out of reach of the working class bourgeoisie, who could afford, however, the artist's posters, which could cost under a franc. Clearly, this larger sum reflected the technical mastery and sophisticated use of both lithographic crayon and spattering of colored inks on a lithographic stone block in creating the image, as well as a very limited number of the edition. The large print, it measures 50 by 40 centimeters, also would have titillated its sophisticated audience by its chosen subject. Featured at right, in the cream white jacket, is Armande Brasier, Madame Armande. She was the proprietor of the brasserie Le Annetton at 75 Rue Pigalle. Annetton means Maybug, and in the slang of the period, referred to a person who acted impulsively. Madame Armande was noted for her mannish behavior and dress, and for being one-eyed, a tough cookie, as we say. Toulouse-Lautrec visited the bar between 1887, during his student days, and 1898, when he created a lithograph of a solitary woman drinking, possibly Madame Armande herself. Datable to this period also are several fast sketches he made of her. Seated next to the redoubtable figure of Madame Armande, and looking towards her, facing us, is Emilienne d'Alençon, an actress and accomplished dancer, indeed, ranging from ballet to snake dancing. She was equally famous as a successful courtesan whose lovers included a prominent industrialist. In 1895, however, she chose to marry a horse jockey. You can't make these things up. And in 1906, gave up her other careers to invest in horse racing, which had been a passion that she actually shared with Toulouse-Lautrec. The male figure on the left is Tom, the coachman of the Rothschild family. The two women are shown consciously on display in their finery, seated at the grand loge level to be seen themselves by the audience. Tom, subtly dressed to reflect his position, is isolated. The boxes are edged with red velvet. And Toulouse-Lautrec had earlier explored the dramatic effect of red velvet loge borders in his 1896 poster, Au Concert. The theater theme so beloved to the artists, in general terms, had often appeared in the art of Daumier and of the Impressionists. In La Grande Loge, the artist has expanded the design of his earlier gouache, which you see at left, a sketch, and expanding it at top and bottom. The bold curves of the loge edge is emphasized, and the background tone has been considerably lightened in the print. Also, the dresses are simplified and stated in flatter tone fields. All of these changes, together with a heightened perspective angle, reflect the profound influence of Japanese prints. While there is a suggestion of the broader architecture and of other figures in the right background barely sketched into the lithographic block, typically the artist is focused on the characterful individuals. This final trial proof is nearly identical to the published edition. The colors are particularly bright, and the registration pinholes, which appear as small crosses from its printing, are visible at the top and bottom at center on this full deckle-edge sheet. And so, I hope you will visit this exhibition and see the original print. There are hundreds of unique and fascinating stories that await you in Paris in the Days of Post-Impressionism, Signac, and the Indépendant. And particularly at this time, I should add, Santé.